that is what our family gave up everything for so that I could succeed and win that gold medal.
I want to take you back to your earliest days and obviously challenging pregnancy for your mom.
Yeah, she had a stroke while giving birth to me, and there was a 50-50 chance that she would survive. My mom was in the hospital for, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. Thankfully, we all made it through. And then my mom, who was an incredible warrior, then had 4 children. You know, my mom is just, like I said, she's an inspiration to me. Whenever I've been injured, I always look to her and I say, well, you know, she can't recover from what happened to her, and I can. So I should just probably put that into consideration and realize that I'm very lucky and not complain and do the work and get better.
So, what was it like growing up with 4 siblings?
It was chaotic. And I was the oldest, and I was like, you know, the captain of the ship, and should never put me in charge of 4 kids.
Were you a good older sister?
I was pretty good, but you should ask them. They would probably say I torture them.
She would be like, she was always dressing us up and telling us what to do, choreographing like dances for us. She was always like the leader. We also did some crazy stuff like sledding down the stairs in a laundry basket, stuff like that. We were crazy kids.
So, when you're 7 years old, your teacher asks you to write down your goals or your dreams. What do you remember?
I said I wanted to be the greatest skier of all time, and growing up I always practiced my signature too. It was like, I'm gonna be famous one day, and I'm gonna, you know, have a really pretty signature. And
Is your signature the same now as it was when you were practicing it when you were a kid?
which is weird. I don't know, I always envied my dad. He's a lawyer and he had beautiful handwriting, and I just tried to always be like him, and so I copied it, and that's kind of how I signed my name.
What do you remember from when the idea first came about that you needed to go to Vail?
My dad had the idea to go to Vail. It was the best ski racing program in the country. I started going out there with my mother, I think when I was 11, drove 18 hours from Minnesota, and we would stay there for a month or two, race, train, and then come back. And then eventually, you know, my mom didn't like being away from the kids, and I felt like it was splitting up our family between Minnesota and Colorado. And so we all moved out to Colorado, but then my dad was still working in Minnesota. So either way, like, it was just a really hard situation for all of us. And there was only 2 bedrooms for the kids, and there's 5 kids. So the boys always slept in a room, and then Karin, Laura, and I shared a room. And there's only 2 beds. We would draw straws. Somehow I may or may not have always had the longer straw. So Laura and Karin may or may not have always been on the ground, but we definitely had our moments where we were all on the floor.
How did you and your siblings find out the Minnesota house was sold?
My parents just had to make a decision. They just said, you know, we sold our house, and we're like, what? We were definitely shocked, very shocked, but
How did you guys handle it?
we didn't handle it very well. I think we were all crying pretty intensely, but ski racing was my dream. It was never really their dream. So in that way, I felt exceptionally guilty because, you know, they didn't ask for it. I mean, they missed their home in Minnesota, and I felt like I kind of took that away from them in a way. The decision was made for my career, and that was pretty clear. So I knew from a very early age that there's a lot of expectation on me. I always wanted to succeed for myself, but there was, I think, always in the back of my mind that feeling of, you know, I have to do this to, you know, for my family, to prove that they made the right decision. And I think that's why, you know, when I won the Olympics, it was so emotional for me, because that is what our family gave up everything for so that I could succeed and win that gold medal. And it was
You said it almost validated the
yeah, it
sacrifices.
100% felt. I mean, I felt a lot of joy, but I would say more relief than anything else, you know, because that had been the ultimate goal that we had set out to do, and we finally did it. And it was, you know, everyone was crying. It was like waterworks, and siblings have a hard time having that conversation as well. It's just, you know, everyone feels like it was all worth it in the end.